Fuck Homelander. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Seba Show. And today I'm finally going to do my first review. Oh my god. And what a way to start my series of reviews. Oh my god. So this show is one of the shows that came out last year that I remember when it was announced, maybe 2 years ago, maybe? This show based on this comic book property is going to come out, and I had never heard of this property in my life. I was like, I don't know what the hell this is. But I remember people being like, oh, really? We're gonna go do this? I think I saw some comments like that, like, oh, we're actually gonna do an adaptation on this? Okay. I think some people were excited about it. I don't know, I didn't hear big buzz around. I think I remember seeing more like, oh, okay, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I don't know anything about the property. I don't know shit. I was like, okay, I mean, I guess we're doing another comic book show. Fuck. Hey, don't get me wrong, I love superheroes, I love comic book properties, I love comic book shows and movies. I love that shit. I love that shit. I just think we're going to this, we're already in this golden age of superheroes and comic book adaptations that I'm just like, maybe another one on top of everything we have right now felt a little bit too much. Since also I didn't know much of the property, I wasn't excited about it, so I was like, I don't care as much. So when the show actually came out, I didn't watch it. I was like, okay, I don't know anything about the show or about the comic book. I don't know, I just wasn't paying attention too much around it. And I don't remember if I heard a lot of buzz on it either. I think I heard maybe positive things. I think people were actually kind of pumped up about it, but it wasn't like exploding on my feed like, holy shit, you gotta watch this. I was just like, I was hearing mostly positive, but not super huge reaction. But again, I heard a lot of positives, and I was like, oh, okay, but it didn't caught my interest that much. I was like, oh, okay, this sounds good, I guess, but wasn't exciting me, wasn't interesting me that much. I was like, I need to watch this right now. So just hold off on it. I didn't go watch it. It's also on a platform I didn't own at the time, so I was like, it makes it not make me want to watch it until season 2 of the show came out this year. Right now, it just ended, like, as of this recording. And I remember, like, when it premiered, I was like, okay. I started, because yeah, around that time, I was hearing more about the show. I was hearing more enthusiasm about the show, more excitement about the show. It was exciting me. I was like, okay, I'm actually interested in this. All right, so I watched, like, I found the platform, went on it, and I was like, all right, let's go watch. Let's see what the buzz is about. Because again, maybe when I first heard about it, I didn't hear so much about it. But lately, I've been hearing a lot of buzz, a lot of people being eager and excited to just go watch this episode and like consume this content. So obviously, I watched it from the beginning, and hopefully, I could get caught up to where everyone is. At the time, I was gonna start, like, at the time the show came out, like the new season, and I guess I finally caught up. Actually, in the week before the finale of the season, which is like, oh, okay. And so today I watched the final episode of season 2, and there's a lot to talk about. Oh my god, all right, cool. We just gotta get to it. There's just a lot to talk about. And I'm not kidding, like, when I'm saying I have a lot to talk about, I wrote, since the first episode, which is like maybe a month ago when I started watching the show, like notes of like what I think about in the moment. There's like a huge like list that I'm actually gonna go through. I'm not gonna sit here for 2 hours talking about you to bore you. I'm sure some of you don't mind if I just talk about The Boys for 2 hours. But I want to go through everything that I wrote, because it does express how I felt about the show at the time, about these characters, about these moments that I'm watching, these like storylines. There's like, I'm gonna go as much as I can and emphasize what I meant if I didn't emphasize well enough, and just like, let's just cover the whole thing as much as I can, because there's a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let's just get started. So immediately before I started watching, I was like, okay, I don't know anything about The Boys. I don't know anything about them. Like, why are they called The Boys? I know there's like superheroes involved, but what is this about? And I heard a lot of comments like, oh, this is a good social commentary on superheroes and how they're enraptured in our culture and our lexicon. But I still don't know what the hell is about. Like, are these boys trying to kill these like Justice League type superheroes? Like, I don't know what is it about. And I've heard some things about like Homelander and stuff about. I still don't know exactly like the context, like what's up. I also remember hearing like the scene about the plane scene. I was like, okay. So I had no context. I did no research on it. I was just like, let's just sit down, watch the show, because I don't know. So immediately I'm already like absorbed a little bit about what's going on from just the first few minutes of the first episode. Like with this character called Huey, played by Jack Quaid, which by the way, dude, there's some times I keep seeing his face, I'm like, holy shit, he does look like his dad. Oh my god. It's like a super younger version of having current Dennis Quaid's face plastered onto him. It's so bizarre. But he also has his own unique look that makes him stand out as a Huey. Like, you see him as like, yeah, he looks like Huey, you know, he's like this, maybe not scrawny guy, but he's a little bit like this skinny, like geeky kid who's maybe a little bit awkward, but he's not. He's just very nice, but he's also maybe kind of a pushover. You know, what you kind of do see in the beginning, like the first few minutes of the episode. We see about his life and where he works. We're gonna basically radio check. But seeing his life is actually pretty good. I mean, he has this girlfriend called Robin, who they seem like have a sweet relationship, and you know, they seem like they're gonna have a future ahead of them. We also see like his dad, played by Simon Pegg, which I wrote here, like Simon Pegg is his dad. Like, he doesn't look old enough to be his dad. I was like, maybe his brother. I mean, but actually I do see like maybe he kind of does look like a dad, maybe. But I was like, I don't know, I'm used to seeing Simon Pegg not as like that old, like maybe a father to a young kid, but to like a grown, almost 30-year-old, or I think maybe he is 30. I was like, I don't know. Which, by the way, I'll just say right now, Simon Pegg was really good on the show. I mean, the times that he's in it, he's pretty good. He plays this like very overprotective, overbearing father who really doesn't let his son just be on his own because he's afraid that he might get hurt, or maybe he's a little bit insecure about him. So he's always like overbearing, but he still wants him to kind of be an adult, but he still treats him like a child, and that's not healthy, but he means well. So I really enjoy Simon Pegg. I think also by him his American accent was actually not that bad. It's actually pretty cool. But yeah, he was really good. So yeah, we see again Huey's life is pretty good, and we see like this whole thought superhero culture, how there's actually super powered beings that exist in this world. And it's normal. It's not anything like in these other properties where there's like, oh, superpowered people, they're freaks, or they're different, or they're weird, or we shouldn't even know much about them. Like, oh my god. It's like, no, it's just normal. It's just like, yeah, it's obviously a little bit above like unpowered people, so there might be some tension going on around there a little bit, but no, we live in this world that they live in, which goes along our world, where we praise and love superheroes, and we adore them, and we love their stories. But in this world, since they're actually real, it's a little bit different. So it's cool to see them like there's actually like the Justice League type, but not only are they real superheroes, but they also do like movies, and they do other, it's like they're commercialized, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I wrote down here that Huey's having a pretty good life. Like, the thing is, he's also very cautious that in the scene, Robin tells him like, hey, like finally we're actually, let's move in together, because finally, like, I had to do it myself to ask you to do a move like that, because if I waited for you, we probably never would have done this, because I was the one that asked you out. If I didn't do it, we wouldn't even be a couple. So Huey, in this point, is not a very risk-taker, action-driven person. He's more like, again, like almost like a pushover, kind of just going through the motions, and he's just very nervous and kind of anxious about things, which I understand. Until she asked him like, hey, let's get moving together. I was like, hell yeah, I love it. And I remember enjoying this relationship for the little bit that I saw. I was like, yeah, man, like I love these two. They're pretty cute, and she's kind of cool. She obviously, maybe Huey has to like pull them together a little bit, but I think I like a little bit of the dynamic. Like, I hope that he's not such of a pushover that kind of turns her off and not make this relationship like natural and organic and work out. But I like them until out of nowhere, because again, we saw the superheroes like, oh, they're cool, and you can maybe see that maybe they're not as cool as you kind of wanted, or they want us to believe. But immediately throw that shit and tell you in the face like, no, these superheroes are kind of fucked up. They're not who they're supposed to think they are. He runs through them, and it's just like, because whatever you might have thought before this scene, it immediately tells you like, no, think this about these superheroes, these specific superheroes. Because if we're having a nice moment between Huey and Robin, it's like, it's so sweet, until A-Train just ran through her, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I've seen this scene before in like the trailers and clips, but I didn't know the full scene, or what was going on in here. So it still surprised the hell out of me. I was like, oh shit, like actually now knowing who the person at the end of this is. Because maybe I thought like, oh, maybe just A-Train already ran through somebody before it was in front of him. I was like, Oh my god. It was really sad. Of course, like him holding like her hand still. Dude, I was like, oh my god. Again, already from the beginning, you already kind of know maybe the tone of the show, especially with the superheroes and kind of the social commentary on it. But especially this scene tells you more like, oh, okay, this is obviously Garth Ennis' property, Garth Ennis' book, because of the whole surreal kind of bizarre, gory world that's supposed to be like based on our world. It's like it's in this balance between our world and this bizarre kind of not wacky but a little bit out there. It's like it's a little bit out there, but they make it look like it's just normal. They can make it as believable and lived in as possible, which I love. So that shit was sad as fuck. Of course, you see like A-Train, like maybe like he's on a run or like he's doing something wrong. He doesn't look all that well. Of course, he just runs ahead. He's like, oh sorry, he just goes. I'm like, oh fuck. Like it kind of tells you again like the status of superheroes in a lot of these properties where they're like they do collateral damage and it's like, oh well, I'm sorry and like I feel bad, but what can I do about it? Again, it's like it's a theme that's not new, but I still love when they touch upon that stuff. It's just like, yeah, like these superheroes think they were kind of above a lot of things. No, a lot of times when you're in their stores, you know why these collateral damages sometimes happen. But I love things outside of their own perspective. And even in their own stores, you kind of know, like, okay, this is kind of unnecessary, just destroying this building right now. So yeah, again, I love that they touched upon collateral damage. But then we also meet another character on the same time as Huey called Annie, who already is a superhero, which I did not expect this story. Because I thought this story was going to be all about these people that are not superpowered. I mean, I don't know if Carl Urban's character was superpowered or not, I wasn't sure. But I didn't know we were actually going to follow a superhero. Like, you know what I actually thought? I thought this show was about like ex-superheroes coming like these raunchy, not very good people. That's what I thought this show was going to be about. I was kind of wrong. I mean, throughout the season, I was thinking maybe they were superheroes, but no. But to actually follow a superhero is cool. And seeing her, not only just a superhero, but she's not part of the Seven. She's a superhero who's aspiring to be in the Seven. And seeing this whole process of her trying to join and almost looking like it's not a team of superheroes that be like, oh, I actually like you for who you are, for your abilities, and for striving to help people. It's all like an audition process, like it's joining a band or joining a television show. It's weird to treat this like a property and not a team of people that just want to help and protect the world. So I love that shit. That's like super good. So seeing her just trying to be her own independent superhero, but also trying to join this team. But also seeing that she's also like super good person that you can tell really wants to help people. So around this time, you don't know much about the team. You kind of know that maybe they're almost like celebrities. I mean, there are celebrities, which I kind of also like that commentary on. I also wrote down like, why are a lot of superpower female superheroes kind of light-based? Because as we know, her superhero alter ego is Starlight. Which I wrote that because I immediately, when I saw this, I thought of Captain Marvel, because she even almost has the same design as her, like the star, like literally it looks like Captain Marvel's costume, only it's not red and blue, it's just white and yellow. And obviously her costume is not the same as hers, she wears like a dress, while Captain Marvel's is just like a tight suit. I immediately thought about like, why are they always like light-based superheroes? Like, that's just random. So yeah, I also read about superheroes are kind of like celebrities and almost like this Maxwell Lord thing, especially with the character of Stillwell, played by this Shub, which I also like in this first episode, seeing like they're doing like a conference of revealing, oh, here's these new superheroes, like we have this superhero, like oh, like the whole presentation of like, oh, we have Starlight, she's our new superhero, she's part of the Seven. Like it's an event, like they treat this like their property and like it's actual like fiction instead of just real people that just happen to be superpowered and are superheroes. And they don't treat them more of their job, they just treat them as property. Like they telegraph what they're supposed to do next. And it's interesting. It's not obviously what we want, I think what we want superheroes to do. It's just we treat them more like they're just celebrities and they're part of entertainment, not an organization or people. Again, they just want to help. I also wrote like the Deep looks like a shitty Aquaman, like those who live in the Seven Seas. Obviously later on we find out no, but I just thought like, is he part of the Seven Seas? Like he's supposed to be like rule like Atlantis too? Cause he looks like a crappy Aquaman, and yeah, he turned out to be actually a shitty Aquaman if we find out later. I also wrote like they don't seem to be superheroes because as we kind of know later on, they kind of not very good people. I mean, so far in this episode, Homelander was supposed to be like the leader and the face of the Seven. It's like this whole like Boy Scout, like all Americana, like, you know, I'm good, apple pie, and all that shit. He's like this pure figure. Like, we don't see the guy I've been hearing about, but you kind of see they're not good people. Like Maeve kind of looks serious, kind of looks like he doesn't care about a lot of things. A-Train is obviously like very egotistical, and so is the Deep, and Deep is kind of a douchebag. But still, from the Deep himself, we didn't see a lot about him. He's still like, okay, maybe he's a little bit full of himself, but he still doesn't look like a bad guy. He's an inflated ego. And then I wrote, I'm shitting you not, I wrote, the Deep feels dangerous. Because there's a lot of times I think when he was interacting with Annie, I was like, I don't know. Something just feels off about this guy. I don't know. And of course I wrote, I knew it, when he was showing her the tower, showing her the room, or like the meeting, like boardroom, like, oh, here's where we do our meeting, plans of action, all that. And of course the mooning, the setting, the lighting, everything looked already ominous. I was like, I don't know about this. I was like, I hope it doesn't go where I think it's gonna go. Like, and of course it went there. When he sexually assaulted her, it was like, oh my God. So of course he had power over her because, like, hey, if you actually want to be staying in 7, you got to do this, because I can just kick you out like this. So Annie, like, obviously just wants to be in this team so bad. This has been a thing that she wanted to do for a long time, which also, by the way, I also kind of like her backstory. Basically, she was like this Little Miss Pageant thing, which actually she did join like the Little Miss Pageant of superpower people. Basically, her mom was just pampering her, being like, oh, you gotta do this, like, you gotta smile, honey, you gotta look good, you gotta look good. It's basically like, oh, okay, you don't really care about her, you just care about yourself and looking good and getting that money. So maybe she was brainwashed to this idea of like, I have to be in the 7 because it's supposed to be the thing. I need to be in this. So fucking Deep got the best of her, and I'm like, fuck this guy. I was like, oh my God. I was uncomfortable. I was like, I don't like this dude, and he's gotta work with him. Sorry, she's gotta work with him. I was like, fuck, I don't know. It's uncomfortable. And I also, what I like about this episode is like also talking about things that have been around our society, talking about rape culture, especially in the entertainment industry. So I think they were kind of doing good commentary about like how they tackle these situations of like trying to expose a person for the shit person that they are, but also like the whole like dynamic play game of like, oh, you can't do this or I will shut your career down. And I love the way they touched upon this because it's real. It's real things that we see, and I think these are things that happen because I'm pretty sure these are things that happen behind the scenes. Like, I like the commentary. It feels so real and so accurate about what's going on today. There was a shitty Jimmy Fallon audience sound effect. I don't remember the sound effect, but must have been shitty if I wrote it down. Which I also thought that was cool that they actually put like real like talk show hosts, real people, real shows, and just make it more as livable and a real 2-hour world. So I like that Jimmy Fallon, they put a segment of Jimmy Fallon interviewing Translucent, this invisible power superhero, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Also wrote down this writing, cinematography are good. The show is very interesting. I like the way it looks. Because it's gray color, gray palettes. But there's still some colors. It's mostly a gray tint, which also makes you look like, gives you like this, not dire, but this grim tone. Like, there's some bad stuff going on, and you will see some bad shit throughout the rest of the show. But I love that. I like the cinematography. I like it. Just looks clean, like pristine. You know, it just looks like super high definition. I also love that they show nudity, which is like unafraid about it. They're like, oh, let's cover it up. Like, no, they just show it. They don't give a fuck. But when I wrote about it, something was like, oh, it's nudity. It's just like they also show male nudity, which is a lot of things in entertainment they still are afraid to show. They're still afraid to show a fucking penis. Like, oh, sure, let's show breasts, but we can't even show a penis. I mean, they don't show vaginas either. Only briefly, not even much. But they're always afraid to show like, oh, like even a man's butt sometimes. Like, you know, sexist as fuck. But I'm just glad that The Boys shows nudity all across the board. Like, they're not afraid of it. I mean, later on, kind of stop doing it. Like, I think after this one scene, they don't show a penis anywhere around. It's like they just don't. They just cover it and like maybe because of the actor or something. Especially the end of season 2. You know what I'm talking about. I just love it. It's almost like Games of Thrones, like HBO vibe. They kind of gave me. It felt like an HBO show. This show feels like it came from HBO. They're just not afraid to show. They're just afraid to express their mind and show what the fuck they want to show. Also wrote that there's a mystery going around, which was intriguing. And then we also finally meet Butcher, which I remember thinking like, oh yeah, he looks Base looks pretty cool so far. I don't know much about him because like I've heard some things like, oh, maybe Butcher's not as cool as you may think. But I was like, so far, I like him. He's charming. He's very confident. Like he's a guy that he's just kind of maybe persuade anybody. For certain reason, he has power over a lot of people. He can get you like that, and he'll make you do anything. So of course he meets Huey, and then we go into his adventure, and also know that Huey doesn't act like he's just kind of a pushover, but he's also not dumb. He's not like, oh, he's nervous. He's like, sometimes he'll let things happen because he doesn't want to get into conflict, or doesn't think he has that control. He'll still say some things. He's just not as maybe the same level of confidence or commanding power like Butcher has, which as a reason I guess Butcher has power over him. Also that it's funny, like it's clever as fuck. Kudos to the writers and to Craig Rosenberg, who is the creator, executive producer, and showrunner The Boys. I still think Seth Rogen, I think Evan Goldberg are also executive producers in the show, which by the way, they also the executive producer of The Preacher, which was a show on AMC. It was like, okay, so this is Garth Ennis. They kind of love his shit, I guess. So yeah, kudos to them because they make some good original content. I love that shit. So kudos to them because they do a lot of cool original content here, a lot of good stories, and a lot of just good commentary. I think this is what he specializes on, the good social commentary, but also making it funny and making like absurdist. Like this is a pretty absurdist show. Also wrote that the seven of basically like the Justice League, but it's a dysfunctional family. Like they kind of don't like each other. They don't even care about each other. They're just there to look good, get that money, keep that good image, be loved. That's what they're all about. Or are they all about that? I also wrote that, yeah, this show makes you not want to be a superhero or have any superpowers because there's a lot of struggles going on. People will treat you differently. There's all these, like, maybe the government will be on you. It's just all these different things that they keep showing that it just makes me not want to be a superhero. Like, I'm good. I don't even want powers. Like, I'm good with where I am right now. And also, this is the episode where Huey actually builds up courage because he's doing a lot of things that he otherwise would never have done. And you know, he's in this world now where he meets other people like Frenchie. I think Mother's Milk shows up maybe a little bit later in this episode. The second episode, I'm thinking. So let me tell you. Which, by the way, Frenchie is pretty cool. I like my love for him kept increasing more as the show went on. In the beginning, I was like, I don't know about this guy. Like he's cool, but I don't know. Maybe it might be a little flat for me. Yeah, but later on, I was like, I'm at the point where I love these characters so much. I love and adore these people. He also faced up courage and did something that he otherwise would never have done, which is murder. The thing is, I like the scene from the first episode where the Translucent followed Huey. And there's a cool twist in there. Like, oh shit, like he actually followed him because again, he's invisible and you don't know when he can be there. And you're like, oh my god. So when they did that fight in the store was pretty cool. And also Translucent is a creepy motherfucker because again, it's so creepy and disturbing. Like a lot of things in the show, these superheroes are just very uncomfortable because Anna has to work with these creepers. Like for example, Translucent hangs out in the women's bathroom, you know, invisible so nobody can see him and just naked. Because the thing is, he has to be naked in order to be invisible. It just makes it worse. I guess there's some logical science in there, but I was like, ugh. Of course they kidnap him, and I like it because immediately we're in the shit. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, this is pretty fucked up. Also, Translucent is like seems like he's had to hand over him. Like, well, fuck you, Huey, you're a bitch. Like, well, I'm just gonna get out of here, and you can't do shit about it. You're not gonna kill me. Fuck you. And also like the way they put the bomb on him. Yeah. So Huey said like, nope. Boom. You're done. A cherry pie song at the end or whatever. It's cool because it symbolizes that he actually did his first kill. It just shows him like, well, Huey's gone on the deep end. Like he came from this innocent guy who's just there to actually be an active participant in what's going on in these situations. Also wrote like the show makes me want to feel bad for the Deep because again the Deep does get his comeuppance. Like he's kicked off of the team or I'm not kicked off the team, but he's getting in trouble, and I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do? And I felt like the show made me want to feel for his, I guess, his journey that we're gonna come and see. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable right now about that, especially with what he did, sexually assaulted and basically raped a woman. And I was like, nah, dude, I'm good. But I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested. I guess I'm interested in seeing like what's gonna happen, but. And I was like, I don't know if I want to see this journey about this piece of shit. Let's talk about this relationship between Huey and Annie, because although I adore this relationship, and later on in the show, like, I come to grow and love this relationship more and more. But in the beginning, it was weird, and something is maybe sometimes in the back of my head, but I remember watching it in the moment. I was like, this is weird. Because, by the way, yeah, they just happened to meet each other for the first time on this bench in Central Park, which is like, okay, that's very convenient, but okay, I still like that scene. I like the interaction between them. It was very cute. It was very nice. I love that first meeting. But then we see that they grow like a love for each other. I just found it weird because, like, wait a minute, like, your girlfriend didn't even die, like, what, maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe? Like, you're already moving on to another girl? Like, it's just so weird that he moved on so quickly. He didn't move on, like, instantly, but you kind of see him already moving his gears of, like, oh, I like her, she's cute and all that. Like, and yeah, I can't blame him. She's cute and she's super nice, she's sweet, but goddamn, like, you can't go so quickly. Like, it's only been like 2 weeks. That's my opinion. I don't know if people disagree with me. I actually felt glad the show tackled on that a little. We're kind of showing that Huey, how he's still disturbed about what happened to her, because he sometimes sees like her ghost, I guess. It's just standing there looking at him like judgingly, like, what the fuck. And sometimes, especially when he's on a date with Annie, so he's like, oh yeah, or especially when he's feeling more comfortable with her, he's like, oh yeah, my girlfriend just died like not too long ago. I think even Frenchie said it one time in the season. I was just like, thank you, because am I wrong here? Am I the only one who's thinking this? So they kind of touched upon it, but they kind of just let it go and be like, well, fuck it, he's just gonna be with her. Okay. But again, I love that relationship, but I guess it also teaches him, like, well, just go with it, Huey. Like, you like her and she likes you, go with it. And then they also revealed the twist of, okay, where do these superpowers actually come from? Because they kept saying that these are just naturally born superpowered people. They're just born, like, the gift. Until they reveal, like, no, actually Vought, the company that owns the Seven and owns all these different things around the world, actually created superheroes, or these superpowered people, back in the 70s. And I also wrote that I would have preferred, like, maybe they were just natural people, like they were actually born with it, because I think that would have been make it interesting. I still like the story that kept going on with this Compound V thing. I think it was pretty good, and it does make this a lot interesting. But I just like, it's already similar to other things that are even out there right now, like Black Lightning. Is all the shows about this drug that gives you powers, and the whole struggle with that. I still do like what they went with it. So like Stillwell, she's always smiling. She's always just like never putting up another face. She's always, even in closed doors where you think like, okay, she could just drop the smile and drop the act, but she's always like in a good mood. Oh, this is kind of creepy. So I also talk about the sexual assault publicized. I like the commentary on it, especially like, oh, you have to, like, here's the script. You gotta just not be actually sorry about what you did. It's just like, it's all publicity, it's all PR. So like, that they give a minor character, like one of the marketing people, like I think his name is Seth, like some development, because they were like this basically this AA meeting about collateral damage, which I thought was super cool. We've seen this already before, but I really liked how it's this team about people that are already injured, not just they lost people through collateral damage from superheroes, but from actually they got like firsthand physically injured by superheroes. And Seth's story is like, oh my god, that's sad, dude. Fuck. But I didn't expect them to do this with him. I just thought he was like this dude who chose sometimes to be funny and be like, oh, here's this marketing idea we have, blah, 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 but not actually give him a little bit of a story. This is the only thing we see from him, like this development. I thought it was just nice. But also like about the scene of the meeting. It's just it's all about Huey and Butcher being in this meeting and kind of getting to know a little bit about Butcher's feelings about what he really thinks about superheroes or superpowered people. He doesn't like them all. Like prejudice, basically. He just doesn't like superheroes. Especially when you know a little bit more about his backstory. Because so far he's just this character. He's just this like cocky guy. He's a jerk. He's an asshole. He's always like smiling and he's just a douche. So he's all about this personality, but you don't know more about the person. Like, and getting to know his story about his wife. Like something might have happened there. Like maybe something also Homelander related, because you can see that he doesn't really like Homelander that much. So you get to know what actually happened. It's so fucked up. Also, like in this episode 6, I like this whole interaction between the two of them, because we get to know about each other. Like they get to know about each other, but they also talk about casualties. I like that. That was very nice. So there's some good themes going on. Like they don't not only just kill people, but there's also like they talk about maybe the consequences of those actions, of horrible action. Also, the Homelander sucks. Again, we don't have to repeat that again. Fuck him. I also like the commentary on child stars are now adults, and how maybe they're not as big as they used to be when they were children, and maybe how their lives may be affected. Because Haley Joel Osment shows up in the show, and he's actually a minor recurring guest character. I didn't expect. I just thought he was going to be like a quick cameo and he was done, but I didn't expect him to have an actual role in this. Because yeah, we always see like Billy Zane is in there. The actual Billy Zane is not playing someone else. It's like, and he's also supposed to be a superpower person. Like, I don't know, like how many celebrities from our world exist in this world that have superpowers? I imagine Tom Cruise is a speedster. So I like the whole Haley Joel Osment thing. Just maybe it has to do in parts with his actual life. But he was really good in the show. I thought he was really good. We also did the story. I'm confused because, again, Butcher already knows Frenchie and MM from his past at some point. Like, Huey's a new guy around here. But again, it's like we don't know anything about how they know each other. We kind of gave hints like maybe they worked together on something and some really bad thing happened at some point with some guy like some superhero named Lamplighter. Like, we don't know. Like, something really bad happened with this Mallory person that I can think was their CIA leader. Like, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Like, were they CIA agents? Were they superheroes at some point? Or did they work about killing superheroes? Or I don't know. I was like figuring out what is going on. But I do like this whole mystery. I was just desperate to know like what the fuck's going on. Like, what is the story? Like, I want to know. Also, like, they do show a little bit of flashbacks. Like, we do see Butcher before he was the Butcher that we know. Like, he's still kind of an asshole. He's still like that jerk, cocky guy. He's not this guy set on this war path. Like, he's vicious and brutal. Did you see the way he killed Haley Joel Osment, bro? But yeah, we get to see a little bit of his past. We get to see how he had the actual wife, which, by the way, is the same actor that used to be in The Flash. She played Patty Spivey. I loved that character in that show. I still kind of miss her. I'm not gonna lie, because the actor Chantel Van Santen, I love that actor. Like, ever since I saw her in that show, I was like, damn, she's super good. She's just super believable in what she's delivering right now. And in here is no exception. Although we only saw briefly about her in this first season, which I'm glad we get to see her a lot more later on in season 2. In this season, I was like, man, she's so good. And obviously, I was like, of course, she plays somebody that's dead. Like, god damn it. Because I don't know, for some reason, she gives me those vibes that she plays a lot of like the wife of somebody who's not alive anymore. It's just like there's something tragic happened to her, which sucks. But she was really good in that flashback, and obviously we know the twist of what happened, because when we get to the conversation between Huey, Butcher, and that bench, I like it because it was heart to heart. There's no bullshit. There's no these like I'm putting this facade. I'm just like, I'm talking to you like just straight up from the heart about what the fuck happened. He doesn't know if she's dead or not, but all he knows is that Homelander raped her, and after that they don't know, because she just disappeared and not a trace from her. And so all this time he's been looking for her. That's all subjective, just trying to find her and kill Homelander. I can't blame him. I like knowing his past a lot more. We don't know so much about the other two yet. Doesn't mean the other two are like just thrown off. They're still fantastic characters. Also, the A-Train got scary, and he can be scary because that scene was gonna like basically kill Huey, and he was basically gonna maybe kill his dad and take him hostage. It was scary as hell. I was like, whoa, I didn't expect it from him, because so far he's just this guy who's like very egotistical. It's all about like, I'm being the fastest man alive, which like I like that tag, which obviously belongs to the Flash. Get to see him a little bit more about his story, about his brother, and like basically just training in the race, which I don't know if it's a commentary on the race between Flash and Superman. But I get to see this whole struggle with drugs, and it was like, it's interesting. But of course, I also thought like, of course, the black superhero has to have problems with drugs, but I didn't think about it much because the story and the way they handled it was pretty good. It was actually very interesting. Also wrote that MM is Marvin, that's his real name. I was like, okay, I guess I thought when they called him like Mother's Milk, I was like, that's interesting. it's very on par with Garth Ennis' stuff, but it's like interesting, but not to know like, okay, so Marv is his actual name. Oh, okay. I also wrote that I want to know more about Maeve, which we do. I also wrote I want to know more about the Deep, which we really do, and about Black Noir. We kind of do, because Black Noir was interesting. He's supposed to be one of those characters that are silent and you don't see his face, so obviously it already attracts your interest. Like, who the fuck is this guy? He's obviously supposed to be like a parody of the Batman, like I guess like a very far off parody of the Batman who doesn't speak, doesn't ever take his costume. Like, they never take their costumes off because that's a part of their image. Like, he never takes his his mask off. He's just quiet. He's very stoic. Like, there's no emotion from him, like, ever. Maybe a little bit. Like, you can see a little bit of him just being like this kind of adorable little kid. But also wrote that Butcher is still pretty awesome, but his personal vendetta does fuck everyone else's lives, basically, and everyone else. Because MM can't be with his wife and the child, which we found out that he has a daughter. We didn't know. So his wife is pissed off at him, and so Butcher's like, he kind of cares, but he's like, well, I'm still very focused on what I want to do, which is save my wife and worry about my own life. So he's basically making a huge mess, and he's just still not caring as much because he's focused on his own thing. Also wrote that like vendettas, like in groups, always fuck up everything. Like in The Walking Dead, like everyone who's has revenge on their mind always fuck anyone else who is even associated with them. Also wrote that Mallory, the CIA, the like deputy director, was cool. I liked her. She's like doesn't take shit from anybody, and I like the interaction with him and with her and Butcher. I think it was really good. Also, Laura tackled racism. They also tackled religion, which did I skip an episode? I think I skipped an episode because there's times they were talking about when they went to this church, this whole almost like Bible camp basically, where Annie was also part of, where she had to do this song performance for the teens, like this whole foundation thing. The superhero who's like supposed to be Mr. Fantastic basically, but he's also an asshole behind, because he's supposed to be like all about religion and, you know, praising the Lord and all that, but behind closed doors he goes against everything he preaches against, because he's also pretty homophobic. But then you see him like with two guys in a club, which the whole club thing but the superheroes was kind of cool. I like the scene where you see like this guy with shrunks, it just jumps straight to a woman's vagina. I was like, holy shit. So I missed some things in there. I missed when they, I guess when they went the whole compound. I mean, that's a couple episodes later on, but it's like I must have missed it. I don't know how, but I missed those parts. Also wrote that I didn't know that Giancarlo Esposito was already in the show, because I knew he was going to be in season 2, but I didn't know he was already in season 1, so that's cool to see. People are already saying like, oh, he's still Gus Fring, but he might have a little bit of Gus Fring, but he's not Gus Fring entirely, because he's supposed to be just a straight-laced guy who has like some deep motivations. He's pretty maybe dark and a little disturbing, but it's not too like super like scary, not like Gus Fring, but you know, he's supposed to be like intimidating. Also wrote the soldiers in the shootout from when they break out MM and Frenchie. The soldiers sucked ass because they keep shooting, but they don't do anything effective. They just stand there waiting, like what the fuck? And of course, the ending of season 1 was incredible. Like the whole tense situation of I'm gonna kill Stillwell, but Homelander's there, because that's the whole idea of just attracting Homelander, because Homelander and Stillwell have this like relationship going on, like very motherly Norman Bates thing, which is like, okay. And he really loves Milk. And of course, it ends up like he was gonna kill her, but Homelander was like, well, don't worry about it, I'll kill her myself. Like, just laser through her eyes. It's, oh my god. Like, I already expected it to happen. As the scene went on, I expected this to happen, but still, I was like, shit. And I like the Butcher was like, well, fuck it, I'm still gonna kill myself. Boom! And I was like, oh, fuck. Then we find out, of course, he didn't die, but I was like, how's he gonna get out of the situation? I have no idea. I was like, maybe he could die. And then find out, not only did he survive, but his wife is also alive, but with a kid, which we know, like, oh shit, that's Homelander's kid? Oh my god. It's, fuck. Also, I get confused. I was thinking Mallory was the other deputy director. No, Mallory's the ex-director. She's fucking badass. I love that interaction. I love that they have this like strained relationship with her and Butcher and like this past, because I guess we find out that Butcher accidentally killed her children with lamplighter. We still don't know who the incident was, but something happened with this kid burned. So of course it ended there. I didn't know how many episodes were in this show. I just kept going, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm already in season 2? Okay. I was like the ending with like this Nakib guy, because again, it almost looked like, yes, they got all the evidence they need to take down Vought, fuck him, like, yeah. And of course, no. Like, still also has something up her sleeve. It was really Homelander who released Compound V around the world to create this whole idea he had about supervillains, so they can fight them and keep this battles going on, and I guess boost his ego up and boost the superheroes up, and like, hell yeah, see, I saved your lives, blah blah blah. It's all about egos and images. It's fucked up. So the whole Nakib thing was pretty badass. Like, oh shit, this looks awesome. And I was like, okay, it's gonna be interesting. And then I noticed, I think Nakib got recasted in season 2, because immediately the show started like Black Noir. I was like, okay, cool, we got some more screen time Black Noir, cool. Kills him. Done. I'm like, okay. And then we get more about the deep story, which is like basically he's, because yeah, at the end of season 1, at least a couple episodes on there, I guess he moved to Ohio, I think. He's basically Ohio's superhero now, but of course he doesn't love it. He doesn't have the cool like lifestyle of the 7 or we had in New York. Like, it's not good for him. Like, he's just going rock bottom. He doesn't feel good, and at the end of season 1 he shakes his whole head and was like just crying. He was just not in a good state, which wasn't what he deserved, because he's a fucking asshole. But things are interesting. I was like, okay, we'll see where this goes. I don't know if I'm still supposed to feel for him. Like, I understand, but I was like, this is what you get because you're a piece of shit. And then we meet Eagle the Archer, which is basically Hawkeye. He's dressed like Hawkeye, literally like Hawkeye, with a little bit of the latex from Green Arrow from the CW show, a little bit of that, which he's there for. Wait a minute, I didn't even talk about Kimiko.